Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video. And just over 6 months since we last talked about her, we're back talking about her. Who is her? Welcome to Komi Can't Communicate Season 2. That's right, only half a year ago, well not even that, just over 5 months ago, well no, 6 even, yeah, half a year ago, we spoke about Komi-san Season 1, and now here we are for Season 2. So, Season 2 begins quite similarly to Season 1, with the narrator explaining what the disorder Komi-san suffers with is. And of course, most of the episodes, if not all of them, have this explanation of her disorder at some point. So they introduce us to a brand new character. That's the first big thing in Season 2, called Katai. Basically, he is this really big guy who everyone else is scared of due to his size, but he's actually quite a soft and sensitive guy. He just looks very tough because of his size. And obligatory quintuplets reference out of the way, Miku Ito is the singer for the opening theme song of Season 2, aka Miku Nakano from the quintuplets. Needed to get that one in there. So, the first really funny scene of Season 2 is when 3 guys who sit behind Komi and Tadano in their classroom are basically discussing hypothetical ideas of dates they would go on with the girls within their class that we've met over the course of the first season. It sounds like a really pervy thing to do, but it's actually quite wholesome in my opinion. You've got the ninja guy and then 2 other guys imagining what it would be like to go on dates with the girls that we've met so far, such as Aguri, Yamai, Nakanaka. Pretty much all the girls in the class, these 3 imagine what they'd be like going on dates with them. So then Tadano decides to start to join in his head. He starts imagining what life would be like for him and Komi-san if they were a married couple. And the reason why this scene is extremely funny is because when Tadano stops imagining it, he starts smashing his head off his own desk, which is really damn funny. And one of the running gags throughout Season 2 is Katai thinking Komi-san is his master for some reason. It's very strange because he terrifies Komi, and yet he believes that some reason she's his master. And they play that up throughout the entirety of Season 2. So our goal for Season 2 is exactly the same as it was for Season 1. Have Komi-san make some friends. She doesn't make as many friends in Season 2 as she did in the first season, because in the first season we need to get to know everyone. But Tadano and Komi actually spend more time together outside of school. One of these examples is they go ice skating together. And they bring along Katai, and he ends up being the one Tadano teaches how to ice skate. And the funny thing about this is Katai and Tadano are holding hands while they're skating to keep their balance. And I think this makes Katai kind of fall for Tadano a little bit. That was a reoccurring theme in Season 2. Katai seeming to have feelings for Tadano, but I'm not entirely sure. But it certainly looks like that way. The show gave us a pretty decent Christmas episode. Of course, if you guys remember, 7 months ago at Christmas, I made my video on my favourite Christmas anime episode, the Toradora one, and that is still the case now. But what made this episode of Komi Can't Communicate for Christmas, this one, the special thing about it was everybody in Komi's class went to her house on Christmas Eve to celebrate Christmas with her because her birthday happens to be on Christmas Day. She was born on the same day as Jeebus. So everybody turns up to her house on Christmas Eve instead. And the only time we see just Komi and her brother Kyosuke together happens here. The two of them basically go shopping together, as much as Kyosuke did not want to basically buy Christmas presents. And Komi doesn't know what to get, and she starts getting overwhelmed by everything she sees. And the only time in the entire show so far that Kyosuke has spoken happens right here, where he basically tells the employee at the store what they want, what Komi wants to buy, since she can't tell the employee herself, obviously. And then they show us a flashback of the rest of Komi's class basically trying to find the best present for her and see who could get Komi the best gift. They're all given the same budget of yen, but nobody is able to find a present that completely outclasses any of the others. So instead, what Komi's class decide to do is they all put their yen together to buy one singular gift for her. That's from all of them, which was actually pretty wholesome. It was actually a big stuffed animal toy. And at Komi's house, while they're celebrating Christmas, they do some party games. One of them is where everyone is given a stick with a number on it, and basically they can tell, whoever's turn it is can basically tell one or two numbers to do something. And Komi-san's mom sneaks into the game, even though she wasn't part of it to begin with, and she this is actually great. Komi-san's mom makes Tadano and the ninja guy kiss, which is so damn funny. You thought maybe when Tadano's number gets called out, and then Komi-san's mom says she wants this number and this number to kiss, you see Tadano is one of those people, so you're thinking, surely Komi must have the other number, right? But no, they pulled a sneaky on you and made it somebody else. Now I want to talk about one of the most adorable scenes in the entire show. Basically, there is a commercial on TV for potato buns, and Komi seems pretty excited by the sight of them. And without even saying a word, Komi-san's dad whips out some yen from his pocket and gives it to Komi. As much as Komi's dad is very wholesome, that's not the adorable part. The adorable part is later on, when Komi is basically the truck that these potato buns are on, that the guy selling them is driving. He can see Komi running after him in his rearview mirror, but every time he stops, she stops. It's kind of like red light, green light from Squid Game, just without death. He moves, she moves. He stops, she stops. And then he just eventually stops and gives her the potato bun, and she pays him. Then we move on to something that was actually part of the Season 2 trailer that I completely forgot about until it happened. The class trip. Of course, there was a class trip in the trailer, but I completely forgot about it. This trip, where is it to? It's a high school romance slice of life anime. Where do you think this school trip is going to go to? What was that? Kyoto? Correct. They're going to Kyoto because of course they are. Where else would they be going? K-On! did Kyoto, the quintuplets did Kyoto, Komi-san is doing Kyoto. And the Kyoto trip was pretty cool because Komi got to meet these two other new characters called Kato and Sasaki, who we literally have not seen at all. This is the first time we've seen them do anything in the show. And that's who Komi is sat in between on the coach right there. Basically, the tour guide of the Kyoto trip keeps fluffing up her words. And the students pull her up on it. Najimi specifically does it first, because of course he does. Then we have Komi and Tadano together on their own, slightly away from the rest of the students, and the tour guide says in her head, just get married already. See, we've already got somebody shipping Tadano and Komi together. During the Kyoto trip, we have references to all sorts of pop culture. We have a reference to Spider-Man, we have a reference to Harry Potter, and we even get a little reference to Jaws. Then, while Komi and Sasaki and Kato are all wandering around, this like ancient Japanese ritual of these guys wearing like old looking robes start around Komi, and she has no idea what's going on. So Sasaki basically finds a mask, an old looking mask, and starts swinging round yo-yos. Yes, swinging round yo-yos to get rid of them, and it works somehow. Then that day comes to an end, and then Kato and Sasaki basically try to force Komi to spill the beans on does she have a crush on anybody. The two of them already deduce that it's probably Tadano if it's anyone. Of course, Komi denies it because she'd be embarrassed to admit that. But then they swing it around on the other two, and Kato is the one who gets caught out where she says she likes Katai. Which came out of left field, no one was expecting that. So on the coach ride back home, Sasaki decides to make it so she can get Tadano to sit next to Komi and she can get Kato to sit next to Katai. And it works. Komi-san ends up falling asleep on Tadano's shoulder, not even realising it, then wakes up, looks to her left and sees that Tadano is next to her. And she gets all embarrassed, of course. Then they return home from the Kyoto trip. And we have some very strange actions going on from Yamai specifically, where she basically steals Komi-san's tights, puts them over her head and runs off with them, so everybody can see Komi's bare legs. I mean, I bet everyone enjoyed what they could see. And I guess I should briefly mention a blue-haired guy who basically thinks he's the protagonist of this show. He's like really self-centered and narcissistic. And thing is though, he appears in the opening theme song of the show, so you think he's somewhat important, but no, we don't actually meet him until halfway through season 2. That was a bit disappointing. I thought this guy was going to be some actual relevance to the show, but he kind of doesn't. Then we move on to the final episode of season 2, where Komi's current friend count is at 21. Still 79 friends to go to complete that goal of 100 friends. We're not even a quarter of the way there yet. We've got quite a ways to go. But the final 2 episodes of season 2 actually did something I thought was really cool. Basically, all of the windows in the school that could be seen in the camera shot were played off as scenes from the previous episode. Because, of course, Valentine's Day came around and Komi basically gave chocolates to everybody, but then didn't to Tadano, and Tadano thought that he was the only person who did not receive chocolates from anyone. But then Komi gave him some chocolates after school near the end of the episode. So then White Day rolls around, which is just Valentine's Day again, but this time, if you receive something, you then give something. It's basically, Japan basically has 2 Valentine's Days a year, February 14th and March 14th. And Tadano's really flustered on what to get her. He even asks advice from his younger sister, who thinks Tadano's getting chocolate for Katai rather than Komi, which is still quite a funny gag. They get to school and Najimi is playing eraser wars. Basically, who can flick an eraser from one end of the table to the other without it falling off. Despite not really understanding what to do, Komi ends up winning this. And basically everybody gives Komi chocolates for White Day, including Tadano. Yamai gives Komi a cookie in the shape of herself and says to Komi, "You can lick me at any time you want." Someone needs to give this bitch therapy. There is something wrong with her in the head. She is not right up there. Then Tadano and Komi are standing together in their classroom as it starts pouring with rain. And Komi says she feels lonely if she's not in the same class as everyone else the following year, because season 2, the end of season 2 marks the 1 year since Komi and Tadano first met. So the first 2 seasons take place across an entire year. And Komi says she's looking forward to the next year. But the second season does not do what the first season did. If you remember, the very last scene of season 1 showed Komi holding up a sheet of paper that said, "Second season in production will be airing April 2022. We didn't have anything like that this time, so there is no official confirmation at the time of recording this video of Komi Can't Communicate Season 3. Do I expect there to be one? Yes. I absolutely do expect there to be one. When will it release? Who knows? Maybe next year. I'd like it to be this year and keep up the 3-month gap between the end of one season and the start of the next. But with no confirmation at the time of recording, who knows? And that will be the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, tell me what you thought of Komi Can't Communicate Season 2. And until next time, catch you later.